is live. Welcome to the Chronologically Gaming pre-show, where we do play every video game in order of release. Now you can send out all your questions and we'll answer them live. We're currently in the beginning of December 1982 playing all the video games on every system platform that you can think of all over the world. We're not partial to a certain region, and we're going to see that more evident when we play next year, which is going to be the beginning of the Famicom and seeing the Japanese home consoles boom even bigger than they are now, because we've already seen a few consoles, but it's going to be a blast. And that's the console that's in the background. We're playing that right now. Yes, and a few consoles and platforms you've never heard of. You bet, Paul. Welcome in, Paul. I didn't think I was going to go this deep when I first did the idea for the show and this quest. I first thought I was going to start with the Atari VCS, play the games that I like, and just work my way slowly up. But nope, we've been playing way too many times. Hey, Marshall. I'm right on the cusp of the United States. Yes, Central. That's right. So hopefully it's not too late for the people on the East Coast. We did have some guests, though, on the East Coast. They had to stay up a little bit longer. Oh, yes, the mountain of content. You bet. Welcome in, Charlie. I don't know, Paul. 2035 seems like way too long, but that's true. There's so many games in 1983. I'm not sure. I've been preparing for 1983, and I just keep adding more and more. I'm getting closer to 7,000 games in 1983 alone. There's so many out there. Hey, there it is, Popeye. We played Popeye on the Odyssey. Well, no, actually, Popeye was on the Philips video pack only. So that's funny. They put him on the Odyssey too, because he never came to North America, at least not to my knowledge. But at this point, we've seen in the real world, we've seen homebrews and hacks and stuff. So you can play all those right now. Oh, Commodore 64. Welcome in, Brian. Yeah, we're going to see a lot. Commodore 64 is the reason why we have so many games, so I'm just going to have to cut some games. A lot of them I've already cut have been educational games, because eventually there's going to be this wave of tons and tons of educational titles, and I've already cut some. We're not hitting on every single educational game that's out there. Oh, there we go. Yep, it's late, Marshall. Thanks for staying up to do some chronological gaming. Gaming in order of release. We don't skip ahead. We sometimes go back even further in time. Oh, you gotta be strong to the finish and eat that spinach. Oh, and Charlie, the Amiga, that's true. Amiga, I believe, is 1985, but see, just because a computer is released doesn't necessarily mean we get games for it. I know there's the really famous demo on the Amiga, but 1985 would be so cool to get that far. I'll just keep on going. Oh, and yes, how many discs you have to put in? We don't have to, like we on the show, don't have to deal with loading. Video games taking their time with cassettes, so we won't have to be switching and installing all the discs. I've already been skipping over some of the loading for like the ZX Spectrum and Commodore 64, because you did have that really cool loading experience. But you know, after so much time, you don't really have to. We don't want to show that loading experience, so I don't want to show installing several discs of games. I remember having to go through 20, 30 discs sometimes for certain games. Hey, welcome in, Psychosis Media. You like chronological gaming too? This is the pre-show. Yes, the one that had the little flip to lock the disc in. And then you had errors, and you had to pop it out, pop it back in, make sure that it was... there's so many issues and problems you can have. I'm thankful that most of the people online have streamlined the games. That they have sometimes states. You just load a state into the game, so you don't have to go through the same process. It's amazing. Oh, and Epics, yes, that was a good one too. Oh, any system that's been better than I thought. The Atari home computer has been more surprising than I thought. I actually thought most of the games were closer to the Atari VCS, but no. I'd say that one has been the most surprising, at least so far. Oh, the Sword and 5 is another really good one. Yeah, and the Piuta. All right, showtime. Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. These are the video games that were released in the beginning of December 1982. We were last getting shot down playing Buck Rogers brand new in the arcade. It's only going to go downhill from here, I think. Let's see what our next game is. Whoa, and that's a slap in the face. This is Bumble Plot as the next video game release, and the brand new Commodore 64. There's not that many games out for it. What in the world's a Bumble Plot, though? This one, I really don't have official box or, this is a reconstructed Bumble Plot box. It's not a real one. It's just a screenshot. It's showing version 1.2, but that's about it with some screenshots. There's not a whole lot of artwork we have, so let's just pop it and play Bumble Plot by Leslie and Corinne Grimm and the Learning Company in the beginning of the beginning of December 1982. There we go. So I'm just kind of just going to boot up Bumble Plot so you can see that the splash screen in the beginning was showing you all the games because this is a compilation of educational games. It is the Learning Company, though. The second time we've seen a game by this company, and they've done a lot more. Rocky's Boots was the other one we've seen by them. And on the Commodore 64, it's a new computer, but this is the 36th video game we've seen so far on the Commodore 64 up to this point. This compilation includes a few different titles of Bumble games or math logic educational games. So the first one I'm going to show you is like the trap and guess game, where they're just showing a line you can see here, and you're supposed to trap the number and guess which number it is. It's a 2. Very, very simple concept. There's Bumble. This is Bumble's secret number, and you want to guess what it is. This is one of the games on this platform. I don't know if you saw on the splash screen, but the artist for this game was 12 years old. Leslie Grimm had her daughter, I guess, do the artwork for the game, which is fascinating because this company, the Learning Company, is going to go on to do lots and lots of stuff. I'm doing all this with keyboard controlled only. There's not a joystick control for this. So imagine being a kid 10 years old, and or at least at school, and you're playing an educational math game and you have to use the keyboard only. That just blows my mind. I remember that I did something educational on an Apple II in kindergarten and it was keyboard only, but for the life of me, I don't remember. Anyway, so this is the entire game, what we're seeing here. And yes, for the Commodore 64, it's got a lot of games to grow on after this. But anyway, I just wanted to boot it up to say it's not broken, but that's about it. That's all we're going to show for Bumble Plot. We are not going to see every single educational title. If you have a sweet spot for Bumble Plot, drop me a line. But it is okay for all the games you could play up to this point. It's inspirational because of combining lots together, but it's really not something that is super impressive for all the games you could play on all home computers right now. This is also available on the Apple II, which I don't think we'll see. It's even harder to come by. But we are going to see this later on the Coco and MS-DOS next year. So we will see and play maybe more Bumble Plot in 1983. But I'd still say somewhere around the average range, 2.5 stars for all the computer games you could play on all computers right now. Whether you're in my demographic or it's meant for younger kids' demographic. All right, so after Bumble Plot, what's our next video? Oh, our next isn't a video game at all. It's the latest issue of Byte magazine. We haven't seen or read Byte in such a long time. Let's check out the December issue of Byte magazine, the Small Systems Journal. This one's usually hundreds and hundreds of pages long, so let's see what's happening in the world of technology right now. Volume 7, number 12. Oh, very nice. The front of this is not showing hardware off. Usually Byte magazine has something that is usually more technical, but look at that. It's Game Plan, 1982. Wait, are they going to talk about video games on Byte? This I got to see. Let's flip past the Chromimco ad, which is on every Byte magazine. Oh, they must be sponsoring the whole thing. All right, so we usually go through the table of contents, and this one has Building a Circuit Cellular MPX-16 Computer System, Part 2. And then there is Game Plan, a section devoted entirely to games and gaming. Begins here. Way to go, Byte. What is it, page 83? Okay, we're going straight to page 83. Let's see what else they have. Coinless Arcade rediscovered. So many games available for my computer. And yeah, there you go. It's part of the Game Plan. And then the Vectrex arcade system. The Vector to Play game system brings true arcade adventures to the home, all for less than $200. Yes, it does. And we've been checking out the Vectrex. It's so good. And then we have design techniques for ideal computer games. Oh, they're doing lots of video games. A trajectory game that shoots electrons through stationary ions. The second place winner in the Byte game contest is in this. That's awesome. And then we have, do they have any game reviews? Looks like I don't see anything from on the side. Because when we usually read the Byte magazine, we just look at the table of contents and then we move on. But not today. We got to go to page 83. I can't believe we usually don't scroll this much because there's so many pages in here. But they're going to devote most of this magazine to video games. We have to check it out. Probably need to go faster. 83 is a long way down here. Keep going. Keep going. There it is. Game Plan, 1982. Cool. And it looks like, is that the hockey guys from Activision's Hockey? Coinless Arcade Rediscovered? Yes. And they were talking about how many games we've seen at home that play like arcade games. Look, there it is. Cannonball Blitz over on the left side. And then Lemmings. Not the Lemmings you think. There's another Lemmings that's by Serious Software that we've seen. Yeah. They're not giving reviews. They're giving information, though, about the price of the game, what systems it's on. So let's just see if there's any games we've missed. On the left side, we have City Under Attack. Oh, there's Protector. Nice. That's the Atari version I think they're showing there. And then on the top right, that is Renaissance, which is like Othello. And then we have, oh, there's Sea Dragon. We've seen it on lots of systems. They're showing off the TRS-81 right here. Oh, there you go. And also for the Apple and Atari. Oh, and the really big one, Choplifter. That one's really, that one should be showcased. One of the best ones you could play so far. And then some really deep cuts. So Byte's bringing out, there's Stellar Escort in the top left that we've seen. There's Serpentine in the top right. Down, oh, wait, right here. Look at this one. This one right here. This is one that we missed. We did not cover on the show, and the Wargaming Scribe told me about this game. It is on the backlog, and we will see this one. He says it's the best strategy game that you could play, I think up to summer 1982 is whenever he said. So anyway, it is called The Wreck of the BSM Pandora, and we have not seen it. And so I'm really excited to check that one out when we see it on the backlog. Over there in the top right, we have Legionnaire. Uses a very similar system as the Germany 1945. Not Germany 1940. What's the strategy game that was done by Chris Crawford? That's really similar to that. And then look at this. They got some of the screenshots. Oh, I know what this is from. This is Time Zone from Ken and Roberta Williams. This is one of the largest adventure games. And look at that. That's screenshots that we didn't see because we didn't play that far. It is a massive video game. And it's even showing the same price. Right now, it still says it's $100. Time Zone they haven't lowered the price since we first saw it. That's too funny. And then down here at the bottom, we have Bandits. Very similar to another game we played called Stratovox in the arcade. So cool. Oh, is this Crush, Crumble, and Chomp? Yep, they're bringing that one up. Nice. And then down at the bottom, we have Cyborg. Wow, yeah, they're bringing some really good ones. Way to go, Byte. In the top left, there's Crossfire, also by Sierra. And then Mask of the Sun, another text adventure game with graphics. Thanks, Paul. Eastern Front, 1941. That was the one I was thinking. Then we got Threshold in the bottom left. Oh, and then Laser Defense. Really, really nice. This is so cool that they're bringing all these up. And then we have Space Spartans. Oh, yeah, with the IntelliVoice. And there it is. Oh, proof right there. Look at that. Utopia right there. We saw Utopia. Someone left me a comment and said it was released later. And if you go right now to the Blue Ranger website, the website that's like the official everything in television, they have the release date for Utopia as later. But there's some proof. December 1982 had at least Utopia. We saw it when I thought the first release I had proof of. But there it is. There's Utopia on the Intellivision. Oh, and there's Tennis by Activision on the Atari VCS. We got Defender, Berserk, Frogger. Oh, man, this is a great compilation of games in the magazine. And then Pitfall. We've seen it both on the Intellivision and on the Atari VCS. There's The Empire Strikes Back on Atari. And then first look at the Vectrex. This is really, really cool. Which games are available right now? And Clean Sweep. Oh, that's the one that's coming. That's the one that's coming up next. Spoiler alert for Chronologically Gaming. But then there's a few other games that we're going to be seeing all of those. We saw Berserk, Hyper Chase, the Star Trek one. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, that's all we'll get into. We've never read Byte Magazine that much, but that was pretty cool seeing all those games. And with that, let's see what our next video game release is. Coming up next, it's Captain Cosmo on the Atari home computer. I've never heard of Captain Cosmo, and neither have you, so let's explore and find out what this game is about together. Captain Cosmo. It's already in a different style box, and it's giving me education vibes, like it's made for kids. This one is the 430th game that we've played on the Atari home computer, whether 400 or 800. It's by Nexa Corporation, the very first video game we've seen by this company. Find me a game by Nexa Corporation that was before this one. So you can see it requires 32K and a disk drive. Lots of, yeah, it's cartoony graphics for sure. Let's flip it over the back. Looks like we're going to be playing as a superhero. And the style of this box is weird too. Captain Cosmo is the hero of the universe out to save the world from the munchies. What are the munchies? Well, they're hungry as ever, out to eat anything in sight. Then we have Devious Dan up to his tricks that releases munchies from the zoo. We're putting munchies in the zoo, okay. Then we got Spacey Stacy beaming up munchies and carrying them to the far ends of the universe. This is a fast action video arcade game. Can be played for 1 to 4 players. Scrolling screen, exciting sound effects, has 99 skill levels. Gotta see that to believe it. Captain Cosmo is exciting and challenging. I'm intrigued. Tell me more. And Palpug says Captain Comic. We won't see Captain Comic for a long time. Here's the ad you would have seen in magazines a little bit later. It has also Delta Squadron and Super Bowl football. So be on the lookout for those games if we ever see them. And then we have the 5 1/4 floppy disk. That's very rare, actually, to play that. Most of the time, you want cartridges for your Atari home computer, but you can play with discs, too. And they have an example of the screenshot. We have a manual, too. Thank you. You are Captain Cosmo, hero of the universe, ridding the universe of dreaded munchies. Move your joystick to fly and walk. They put fly first and then walk. As you maneuver your way around the landscape, press the trigger to fire the Somnizer Ray. Make sure you pronounce that correctly. Somnizer Ray. Don't want to mess that one up. Tranquilize the munchies, and then once they're yellow, you can swoop down and pick them up when they're green. Carry them to the zoo. Don't touch the yellow munchies, though, or you will perish. Watch out for Spacey Stacy and Devious Dan as they bring you added peril. Each game begins with 4 men, 4 lives. You possess the Somnizer Ray, the Zap the Munchies. Oh, really? Paul's saying the vast majority of them were on floppy. Here on the show, we have seen the majority of them on floppy. I'm just saying, in my experience, most of the games I played were cartridge to pop in. You fire once, press the button down, fire continuously, and hold the button down. We got Turbo Fire. There's our required equipment that we need, loading instructions, and the controls. Change the number of players. We've seen that. Pretty standard fare on the Atari. And there's our score system. Wow. Oh, that's the score for what level you're on. They really have 99 levels. At least they stay here. Look at this. Oh, it explains what the levels do. 1 through 9 is Captain Cosmo and the Munchies. 10 through 9 adds Spacey Stacy. The 20 adds Devious Dan walking. Oh, Devious Dan can fly? Whoa. Oh, Devious Dan flying and firing. Oh, so it just makes it more and more difficult. Very weird, though. 99 lives. That's really bizarre. So the zoo is where Captain Cosmo puts all the Munchies after touching them inside of the zoo, but Devious Dan can bring them out. And then we have the Munchies. This is otherworldly, and I've never heard of any of this before. But hey, we got a little bit of lore. At least we know kind of what we're doing or what the point is. Let's pop in Captain Cosmo and play. This is by Greg Omi, Nexa Corporation, in the beginning of December 1982. Greg Omi. This is the second time we've seen Greg. He's done Battle Trek. Greg Omi will eventually be part of a company called Naughty Dog and do Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter, among other games. This is maybe the first or second, I'm going to say the second game because we already saw Battle Trek, which is like Star Trek, but the second time we've seen Greg Omi. Way to go, Greg. All right, so let's see what we can do. Number of players. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. It does. Okay, 4 players, but it is arcade hot seat style, so you're not all playing at the same time. It's nothing like we did with Sid Meier's games where 4 people are on the screen at the same time. All right, so let's do select. Let's do option. And there he goes. 99 skill levels. That is too much. I can't believe it. We've never seen Well, we've seen different game variations and modes, you know, from like Space Invaders on the Atari VCS, but whoa. Let's just start with game mode 1 and see what it's like. Ready, set, hit it. Whoa! Does everyone realize what we're experiencing right now? This is... Don't touch the yellow munchies or you die. We are scrolling. We're a platformer that scrolls. So if I move left and right, look at this. I even got a little animation. His cape moves too. Captain Cosmo. Now, I thought one of the coolest superheroes we had seen so far was Pogo Man. Captain Cosmo beats Pogo Man out. But that's not all. If I push up on the joystick, look, ooh, you just start flying around. So you're supposed to use your Salmonizer ray to turn the munchies from yellow to green, and then look, you lead them into the zoo. I don't know why they need to go in the zoo, but you kind of like herd them into the zoo. I'm gonna call it a herding game mechanic, as if you were herding sheep or something. But anyway, make them green, get them to the zoo. Oh, stay green, buddy. They don't stay green for long, but that's essentially the idea of the game. But this is unlike any other game we've seen so far. It is pushing the boundaries of what we've seen with other games. All right, I'm just gonna go again. I'm trying to get serious with it, but there's a lot to unpack with this. Captain Cosmo. Oh, why is my ray working? Turn him green. Make him green. Get him in the zoo. You can see we get bonus points at the top of the screen. And then once you have everyone in the zoo, you pick them up and carry them really easy too. This is amazing. So you move on to the next level, and it's progressively going to go level to level, very slowly. But this is a platformer, and this is a platformer that's doing something we haven't seen before. You know, taking this side view, but it's also a shooter at the same time, or sort of a shooter because you can fly around. Because we've seen scrolling shooting games, you know, quite a bit. All right, so let me focus on getting these munchies out of the way, or turning them green at least. Look, and they just sit down, and you have to lure them into the zoo. So you can see the screen does wrap either side. It's a very small play area. You can even walk them in. And we can increase the difficulty and add more to the game because, you know, you can add the UFO, Spacey Stacy, or you can add Devious Dan, our arch nemesis, to increase the difficulty. But the control is also pretty tight. To be able to move left and right, this is awesome. So at this point, we've already had so many platformers that we've seen on the show, we've broken them down into different categories. We've had arcade platformers, which is a video game platformer that's taking place on one screen and you can jump around, like Donkey Kong. We played 62 arcade platformers so far. We've also seen auto-run platformers, which are platformers that they just continue to move in one direction. Pogo Man, like I mentioned, is one example. We've seen 11 auto-run platformers so far on the show. We've also seen fixed platformers. Fixed platformers are essentially... Let me switch up the mode. Let's go to game mode 10 so we can have a UFO flying around. There he is. Yikes, this is tough. Fixed platformers take place on one screen, but there's no jumping, like Apple Panic or Space Panic. Ooh, the speed has increased. Whoa. Whoa, when you increase the difficulty, it's so fast. Well, it takes a little while to get used to. We've seen 32 fixed platformers up to this point. We've also seen one exploratory platformer, or if you're fancy, you call them Metroidvanias now with Aztec. But that's all the platformers. We've also seen platform games that are flipping screens, like Pitfall has, or Smurfs has. But we've never seen a platformer that allows the screen to scroll like this. And look at that. It is a really small area, but this is one small step closer to Super Mario Brothers. That's what I'm trying to get at. And it's 1982. This is amazing. Punk Rock saying 4 stars already. Yeah, very, very advanced for its time. Let's keep going with let's see what Devious Dan does to us. He'll probably kill us even faster. So, oh, there he is. So you can walk. You can stun him, I believe. The game goes so quick when you go on higher difficulties. But it's almost like this kind of game should have happened earlier because it's a shooter too. You know, it's kind of like a shoot 'em up. I wouldn't really call it that because you're not scrolling around like you would in Defender. You're saving people, I guess, or moving people from a different place. We're dying so fast. Yeah, you can skip ahead to all the different levels, which is a nice touch. But man, I am not on fast forward, but this is brisk. This looks like Greg was just trying to show off. Oh, there's another good one that we're going to see for a long time. So let me go back to game mode 1 where it slowed down a little bit. So yeah, it's the very first time we've seen a scrolling platformer like this. There was another one we saw called Panic, P-A-N-I-K, on the TRS-80. That was a fixed platformer. Oh, some of them take more than one shot. That's what I'm seeing. Gotcha. So it uses the joystick. The control is very, very simple and smooth. The later levels get very, very fast. It has that nice turbo fire, which is a good touch. Nice touch. It also gives me vibes of Superman that we saw on the Atari VCS, being able to start from, you know, walking and then just fly. But Superman, again, was a flip screen. It wasn't scrolling. You went from screen to screen and it just jerked to each screen like it does with Pitfall. Sweet. And we're going to see this one much later, in the far future of 1984, on the MSX. So this was our first experience with Captain Cosmo, and I am very impressed that there's anything like this right now. We have not seen anything remotely close, unless you want to consider the games that are shooters that are scrolling freely or allowing you to scroll freely. And games are going to do this later where they transform a humanoid person into like a mech that flies around and mixes kind of a shoot 'em up with the platformer. I'm just going to say mostly platformer that has a few shooting elements, but wow. Paul's like, yeah, I like that comment, Paul. All right, so for all the games you could play across all home computers, this is way up there. It's way ahead of its time. There's not anything else that's like this out there. I see a 4.5 from James. Charlie saying 4 stars. I don't know if I'd go as high as to say 5, just because it's a little rough around the edges with a few elements, but because we haven't seen anything else like this, and I think I gave Pogo Man when we first saw it a 4.5 star rating too. I'm gonna go 4.5 stars for Captain Cosmo. This is one of the best games you could play on any home computer right now. I am floored. It is amazing, and it is just way too much fun. Psychosis throwing out 3 stars, pretty average for the games you could play right now, but I got to give higher marks. That's Captain Cosmo. All right, let's see what our next game is. This is Catch 88, not Catch 22. We're going to up the ante. On Catch 88, all I have is a few screenshots for it. There is nothing else that I have for this game. Let's pop in Catch 88 and play it for MS-DOS, or PC-DOS, or PC Booter. This is the 130th game we've played for MS-DOS so far. Let's go with 40 column mode. The object of the game is to catch them before they fall. There's the point value for everything that you catch. The capital Q, a capital Q will stop the game. You choose a suitable level of play. All right, let's start with medium. Good luck. So this one is a freeware public domain game. It's the 62nd time we played a video game that was free to play. Possible from a BBS or a bulletin board system, something like that. This one is a ball and paddle game. It is the 193rd ball and paddle game we played so far. This one is utilizing the entire keyboard. Every time stuff falls down, you just have to type the key. You can see at the bottom of the screen. Just make sure I don't do capital Q. And every time you pick things up, such a bizarre idea though, because I'm just having to type in the different keys. This is essentially an Avalanche variant that uses almost the entire keyboard for its controls. An assortment of ASCII characters is raining down from the sky, and your job is to catch as many as you can. Each column of the screen is marked by a letter or a number, and you can just move your basket to any position of the floor pressing the corresponding key. The various symbols have different point values, but you're only allowed 21 misses, so you want to catch as much as you can as they fall down. I'm doing a terrible job because I'm trying to explain the game at the same time, and I think, yeah, game over. Press return. There we go. And you can also go into 80 column play, but if you do well enough, like if you start catching almost everything that falls down, it will switch to the 80 column view automatically. It'll increase the difficulty like that. Punk Rock's doing Mavis Beacon teaches typing. I don't even know if I'm learning typing right now. All right, let's go back to easy level. Medium was just too hard. It's all ASCII character graphics, and it's running on PC speaker. This is a variant of Avalanche, the 14th video game we've seen based on what we saw in the arcade first by Atari, and then it's been copied and cloned by lots of stuff. Avalanche is official in the arcade and on the Atari home computer right now, and you're probably familiar with Kaboom by Activision on your Atari VCS. Also, the game Popcorn, Starship Chameleon, and Ketchum on the Coco, we've seen those, and Chicken on the Atari home computer. So lots of ones like this. This one's so simple, though, and it really doesn't... It almost feels like a very dumbed-down version of Typo Attack that we played earlier, but it's not as fun. Typo Attack, you actually could shoot. This one is not shooting. All I'm doing is hitting the key to move my basket in the right spot and pick it up. So it's like a regression. It's away from everything we've seen so far with ball and paddle games. All right, there you go. There's Catch 88. Of all the games you could play on all home computers, this is not very enjoyable. It does get faster if you want to speed it up, you know, with the difficulty, but what the game is trying to do is just not as fun to play as everything else that's out there. I would say of all the Avalanche variants that are out there, there is one other one that is worse than this one. It was called Missile Strike on MS-DOS. That game is worse than this one, but this one's still bad of all the games you could play up to this point. Looking in the chat, I see lots of Japanese yen. 2 stars mostly. ASCII Lanch, that's a great one. I'm going to use that one, Punk Rock, next time we have another game like that. We have 1.5 from Psychosis Media. 1.5 is generous. Yes, then I'll be a little generous then. Maybe someone would find enjoyment on their PC computer. All right, after that game, let's see what our next release is. Let's check out Caterpillar. Not to be confused with Caterpillar from C-Load Magazine in 1981, or Caterpillar that we've seen on the TRS-80 color computer. This is a totally different Caterpillar. At least I think it is. Written by Larry Ashman. Way to go, Larry. Fast action machine language arcade game for the Model 1 or Model 3. Compatible with joysticks, yes. And with sound. Wait, it says this version talks? I love it when the games talk to us. This is the 143rd game we've seen for the original TRS-80. It's by Soft Sector Marketing, the 5th time we've seen this company bringing us games like Conflict, Vexus, Rally, and Chicken. The very first time we've seen anything by Larry Ashman. He'll only go to bigger and better places. Here's the idea you would have seen in magazines. Caterpillar. You are being attacked by a raging caterpillar. I wonder what this game is based on. I'm sure everyone knows. If you've seen the show, you know what Caterpillar is. There's the 5 1/4 floppy disk that we play on our TRS-80 with an example of the screenshot. Let's play some Caterpillar. Released at the beginning of December 1982. Sometime in the beginning of December 1982. All right, so I think it's just Caterpillar. Did I get it right? I think I did. Yes. Bring it on. Ooh, love the TRS-80 sound effects. That's awesome. Well, presentation's already there. I'm already loving it. Oh, look, they haven't even... an attract mode, just like in the arcade. I'm not playing this. They're showing us the point values. And look, there comes the Caterpillar, represented by the @ symbol. We've played as an @ symbol here on Chronologically Gaming as well. Very, very nice. So this presentation's really, really top-notch. Too cool. And this is the high score table? Yes, Hall of Fame. That is awesome. All right, so you can do a 1 or 2 player game. It is hot seat multiplayer, so it doesn't matter if you do 1 or 2. Let's see if that joystick works. Ooh, it does. Whoa. It's Centipede. ASCII Centipede. Not the very first time we played ASCII Centipede, but this one is very well done for all black and white Centipede. Oh, no. There we go. Oh, it didn't change color. Just kidding. It's not going to change color like Centipede does. But look at this. It even has the slow teardown. It's the mushrooms are breaking down, even though it's so low resolution. Wow, well done. And it's responding to play. It even has the fleas too. So it's much better than the one we played on by C-Load Magazine. This is still a fixed shooter. You move left, you move right, you fire. This is the 403rd fixed shooter we've seen so far on Chronologically Gaming, and the 234th we've seen on all home computers right now. On this computer, the TRS-80 Model 1 or Model 3, this is the 15th fixed shooter we've seen so far. This is awesome. And I don't hear the speech synthesis though. Maybe we don't have the disc version of the game. Someone can give me the disc version so we can actually hear it talk to us. Or was the box lying? And maybe there is no talking. So this is the 32nd time we played a game that is based on Centipede, or trying to rip off Centipede. There's been 4 that we've seen in the arcade, and this is the 28th we've seen on home computers. All home computers so far. Some of the best out there is Color P that you see on the TRS-80, Grid Runner, which is on a few different home computers, and Viper, just to name a few. I wouldn't say this version is the same level as Arachnoid that we saw on the Commodore VIC-20, or Bug Battle and Nightmare Gallery on the Apple II, or Haunted Hill that we saw on the Atari home computer. I'd say this is around the same level as Caterpillar that we saw on the TRS-80 color computer, Fuzzy Worm that we saw on MS-DOS, Cosmic Snake on the Commodore VIC-20. That's somewhere around this range, but this one still plays really well. That is a well-done TRS-80 game and fun. It functions with the joystick too. And you do a little bit of imagination, but you still have a really good Centipede-style game. So I'd say still around the average range for everything you could play up to this point. If you twisted my arm, maybe 2.5, but I'd still say 3 stars. I don't know if I want to go as high as 3.5. That'd be the same level as something like Haunted Hill we saw on the Atari home computer, but I'm still thinking around average. James saying overachieves its goals. Punk Rock's throwing out 4 stars. Nice. Oh, and Psychosis is given 4 too. Nice. I'll go 3.5. For all the games you could play. Charlie's saying 3.5 too. Yeah, it plays very, very, very well. So the gameplay is there. 3.5 stars for Caterpillar. And we're going to see this one later on the TRS-80 color computer, this version on the TRS-80 color computer, and the Dragon 32. All right, let's see what our next game is. Coming up next, it's Centipede. But don't get too excited. This one is not official Centipede either. They just had the guts to call it real Centipede. It's not Atari Centipede. This one is not a Centipede on the ZX81 by Jeff Minter. It's not Centipede that was on the BBC Micro by Superior Software. Right now, the only official way to play Centipede on any home computer is on the Atari home computer. So this one is for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum and Centipede. This box is awesome. And actually, I want to show you all of them. We have more than just this one. This is the 149th game that we've played for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum so far. And this game could still be the very first game you ever played on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, because it's a mail order computer, and if it was released in April, you still may have only gotten it a month or 2 ago. And this could be your first game. This one is by DK Tronics, the 6th time we've seen this company. They've done games like Meteor Storm and 3D Tanks, and this obviously had to change their name. Centipede just won't cut it, so they ended up changing it to Centibug at some point. You can see there's Centipede and there's Centibug with the same box. But this is another box. So here's what I think happened. This is, again, all speculation. We have another box by DK Tronics that says 1982, and then we have a box that says Centibug 1983 and Centipede. So my guess was this is the first box, and they said, are we going to get away with calling this game Centipede? So they said, I think we'll get away with it. So let's make a official, nice-looking Centipede box with cool graphics like this. And then they said, no, we're not going to get away with it. We have to change it to Centibug, and that's what I think happened, even though it may be totally different. There's the cassette we're going to pop into play, not into your recorder. I mean, you're not listening to the music. We are playing a video game on this cassette tape, whether it's Centibug or Centipede. And there it is, another crude picture of the cassette with the example of the screenshot. All right, so this one has lots of versions, versions 1 and version 2. I actually want to play version 2, so it's not as rudimentary. It's pretty much the same thing, just fixes a few bugs. Let's pop in and play Centipede by David J. Heelis. at the beginning of December 1982. Way to go, David. I'm ready. All right, so this is going to be a little bit interesting because the controls are keyboard controlled only on that spongy membrane keyboard of the ZX Spectrum. There's our point values. This is the first time we've seen anything by David Helis. Ready, set, start. All right, ready? I can move. Oh, I have a little freedom to move around. Oh my gosh, though. The response for the shot is a little bit off, and it just feels very jerky. But I do have the turbo fire. If I hold down the fire, it works. But oh man, you got to remember this is on the keyboard. The keyboard though is what's bringing this down. There is no joystick control for this. We've seen just a handful of games on the ZX Spectrum that work with the cursor joystick, and there's some that work with the. I think only one or two we've seen with the Sinclair joystick. Let's see if it changes color. It does not, but it still has the destructible mushrooms. Charming and fun, but this one doesn't have the smooth. Oh, the control. I can't shoot and move at the same time. I just tried to move down and shoot, and it didn't work. Let me try it again. Yeah, it's getting hung up. I can move left, right, and shoot, but I cannot go up and down and shoot. I have to let off for it to work. So yeah, it is a little janky, and usually we give the games that have keyboard controlled only a little bit lower rating. So this is another fixed shooter, the 404th fixed shooter we've seen so far on Chronologically Gaming, and the 235th fixed shooter for all home computers right now. This is the 14th fixed shooter we've seen on the ZX Spectrum alone so far. It's the 33rd variant of Centipede so far that we've seen on everywhere, and it's we've only seen 4 Centipede games in the arcade, and this is the 29th on home computers, but this is the very first Centipede variant for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. So if you had this computer right now, this would be a blast, because there's no other way to play anything like Centipede on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. And I can verify, because we've even done type-in games, and even the type-in games don't have that much stuff. It is the power of the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. So I would say, of all the games you could play up to this point, the Centipede on the BBC Micro, I would say, is slightly better than this one, which isn't saying that much. I would say this is about the same range as Ant Raiders that we saw on the Commodore VIC-20 and Bugs that we saw on MS-DOS, at least as far as the gameplay goes. The way this looks, though, I mean, the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, that was actually working very well color-wise. Looking over the chat, I got 3.5 for the Spectrum. Yes, I would say if this is all, if you only have this computer, 3.5 stars is very well, I would say that as well. 2.5 to 3 overall. I got a 3-star mostly. I'm actually thinking anywhere between 2 to 2.5 stars for all the games you could play up to this point. It's barely bad just because of the play control. Yeah, the controls hurt it, James is saying too. Yep. I'm going to say that too. Because of that and because of the movement, you don't have the freedom of movement. The turbo shot's all right, and it does look the part, but I'd say to play the part, I'm going to say 2 stars. It's bad for all the games that you could play across all home computers right now. All right. And now it's time to put our video game playing on pause, or hit the break key if you're on home computers to stop that game. We have so many games to pick up and play here in December 1982. I'm so glad everyone's here live for the show. Really live. This is a live show, and there are people here in the chat sending messages right now, and I'm so glad that you're here. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, stop digging in those Panic-style games. Let's just blow holes in the floor. Another circus adventure on the TRS-80, and more games released to play on your brand new Vectrex. That's it for today, and like I always say, Christmas of 1982 is just around the corner. Did you remember to buy your mom a present? No? Then might I recommend Centipede or Pac-Man? Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.